remasters aren't always my favorite thing, given there's the concern that it's taking time away from developers making new games. That said, there's certainly old games where it's lovely to see them get a new lick of paint. Here are 4 of those such games that we can expect this year. Gamers were a little burned by the fact that Final Fantasy VII for PS4, announced during the PlayStation Experience, wasn't a new remaster, but rather a port of the PC version. Nonetheless, there is a future where you can play one of the best Final Fantasy games on your PS4, so it's not all bad. The graphics have been upscaled from their original 1997 resolution, but it's still largely blocky polygons galore. If you can put up with that and you still have a truckload of nostalgic love for the JRPG, it could be worth picking up. The port from the PC version also accumulates all the fixes from over the years and features a character booster, which drastically boosts the skill of a party on a save file, so the player can experience the story and not need to grind for levels. Take this entry with a grain of salt, but since gamers have been waiting for some kind of Final Fantasy VII remaster since the possibility was first teased in 2005, this is at least a start. Speaking of the best entries in long-running series, another game that came out in the late 90s is getting the remaster treatment this month with Heroes of Might and Magic 3 HD. Although it's nowhere near as much of an upgrade as Ubisoft tried to convince us it was, since you wouldn't really define the retouched up character sprites as HD, it's still a step up with the game's support for modern resolutions. There's also the addition of a multiplayer lobby compatible with Steamworks to make playing online a whole lot easier. Unfortunately, the excellent expansions aren't included as a result of lost source code. The latest entry, Heroes of Might and Magic 6, might be detailed and colourful, but Heroes 3 had the best strategy and town building elements of this series, which they've had trouble topping ever since. This month isn't short of great remasters, since we're also hours away from getting our hands on the new and improved Grim Fandango. The critically acclaimed 1998 game from Tim Schafer is considered a classic in the history of adventure games. But as is the case with most 90s games, getting it running on modern machines is no small task, and the game's clunky Resident Evil-style tank controls were never a popular feature. As a result, Double Fine has taken on the task of producing a remaster for the PS4, Vita, PC, Mac, and Linux platforms, and they're determined to do it right. They got in contact with players who had written unofficial patches, in some cases requesting their code to integrate into the remaster. Some luck was also involved. They relied on uncovering 130 discs worth of original game assets LucasArts had in their archives, so they didn't have to work with compressed art. Thanks to that, the game is set to feature high-res textures and character models, real-time lighting, and the ability to switch between the original and the remastered graphics. There's an optional new control scheme and a developer's commentary track for the hardcore fans. And the remake or remaster I'm most excited for this year is The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. If, like me, you find yourself with a childhood around the 90s and happen to have a 3DS, this wonderfully moody entry into the Legend of Zelda series offers a delightfully dark world to explore. Like Ocarina of Time 3D, Majora's Mask 3D will take advantage of the 3DS's touchscreen controls, gyroscope, and obviously 3D visuals, as well as incorporating better textures and lighting. The gameplay is also going to be, quote, smoother, according to creator Eiji Aonuma, and there will be changes like altered boss battles and the addition of fishing. Fans of the series spent 4 years campaigning for this remake ever since Ocarina of Time 3D was released back in 2011. Are you a fan of remakes? Let me know which one of these titles you're keen to play this year, or if there's a whole other game you want to get your hands on. I will see you next week.